What is up, everybody? What we're going to do today is get right back into Reaktor, and we're just going to start exploring some of the differences between the various different types of modules and blocks that they have. There's a veritable smorgasbord, a metric ton of different kinds of blocks that you can get into. And I just want to go on a bit of a journey, just exploring the different kinds of, say, oscillators that they have, or different kinds of filters that they have, and things of that nature. That's what I want to do. So, what I'm going to do is just show you a basic synth that I've put together for today. We've got our MIDI in block, we've got our oscillator block. This is the basic oscillator, simple multi wave oscillator. We've got our envelope, and our MIDI in is right connected to my keyboard. And I've got the pitch of the MIDI in going to the pitch input of the oscillator. Boom, controlling the pitch. Now the gate of the MIDI in is going to the gate input of the envelope, which here you can see that this light is flashing on my MIDI in module every time I hit my keyboard. And so is this light on the envelope. That's because the gate is controlled here by the gate input of the MIDI in. So from the envelope, this is now controlling the actual, and I'm going to color this blue just to color code this. This is actually controlling the modulation or the speed at which you hear the sound of the oscillator. Because if you were to just hook the oscillator in and say, if we were to just bypass this real quick, it's going to sound real ugly for a sec. It's constant, right? So that's not actually what we want. We want it to be controlled so that whenever we hit the keyboard, that's when we hear the sound. And eventually it goes away. And you can tighten up that when it goes away, or what it actually called the release, by setting the release control a bit further down. Or you can open it up, have it be a bit longer, where the sound takes a little bit more time to go away. So it just depends on what you're going for, but that is how you control the timing of it, how fast you hear it. Or what's called the attack. It might be a slow ramp up to full volume, like that. And you can see that that modulation wheel, that value is happening a bit more slowly, right? Maybe it's real slow, or maybe it's instantly. There's quite a pop to it whenever you have it set all the way. So I like to personally tuck it back from 0 just a bit. So there we go. That's sounding great. And we also have this connected to, so the VCA is the amplifier. That is basically like, you know, plugging the oscillator or the guitar sound source, plugging the voice into an amplifier, into like a guitar amp. That's basically what that is. So this is just, you know, just playing the audio through it based on the envelope control here. And then that's going into a filter. And so on the oscillator, we can have control of the shape. We can change the shape from a sine wave into a nice sounding triangle wave, which is a bit more distorted, a nice sounding square wave, which is fully distorted, or a nice sounding sawtooth wave. All of those are super cool. All of those are cool. What we can then do is we can then pull back this filter to get any range of frequencies that we want to get in between that. And we can control the slope or the shape of that slope by, um, you know, going forward or pulling back the resonance control. And careful with that resonance control, because that will start to what is called self-oscillate, meaning it will just, even without anything playing it, it will start to produce a sound on its own. There's a trick where you can actually take that and then tune it and then turn it into an 808. That's an old school trick. So I tend to prefer it with a little bit of a poke at the end of that slope. I think it's cool sounding because then it pushes some frequencies in it actually gains it up before it tucks it back. And so I think it's kind of cool sound. So essentially, this is what we want to explore. Just the basic sound of the basic oscillator. So this is a simple multi-wave oscillator. We have pulse width. So this is, what is this? Width of the square shape. So if we get it into a square sound. It's kind of cool that that resonance adds this. It adds this subtle noise character, and that might be a part of the mixer, because I debated this for a while, what I was going to use as a mixer, but I wanted to try it with this subtle saturation thing. I just think it's interesting, and I just wanted to try it out. So that's a cool thing. That it's of course much less it's much less subtle on the sine wave because you can hear it a lot better, but then when you mix that sort of subtle noise in, it sounds cool. I think it sounds cool with especially with the more distorted waveforms, and then obviously when you tuck it back, that's cool. So then on the filter, you can change what kind of filter this is. So is this a low pass filter, or maybe it's a high pass filter, or maybe it's a band pass. So that's cool. I think it's cool. And then, I mean, this is essentially what we want to cover is, you know, what this oscillator sounds like. So this is what it sounds like. And we're going to go ahead and keep this in the rack, but just click into your Reaktor, hit the enter key, start searching. Nano Oscillator. And holy, I mean, like I said, there's tons of different things in here. And what we're going to do is in the next sort of series of videos, we're going to start comparing these oscillators and trying to get a feel for what we can hear are the differences between these oscillators and just sort of the main normal ones. So the one that I pulled into this rack is just the one that says oscillator. That's it. Nano oscillator. But then you got multi, you got FM, there's exciter, basic shapes, there's all sorts of different stuff. So we're going to start digging in to the various oscillator types. And oscillators galore. We'll start to develop some, you know, just ear training. We'll start to develop some ability to just kind of figure out, you know, for a certain song, for a certain sound we might be going for, we might be able to pull this out of the old toolbox, out of the old bag of tricks. the toy box, as it were. Until next time.